What's up, kids? Bones here, and it is another week, so it is another video. This is video 2 of my deployment vlog, however it's supposed to be pronounced. Words are hard. And this week, I'm actually going to get to you guys' questions. So I hope you guys have had a great week. I've actually gotten several really interesting questions, and one of you decided to be really cheeky and give me one that's going to require a lot of research. Yes, that's right. Your questions, I'm going to give you real answers to. Yeah, think about that. I want you to think about that the next time you come up with some smart aleck question to ask me. Anyway, so I thought I would throw some more Space Engineers. I've played a little bit since we were last here, and figure real quick, I'm gonna get that pod. So what I'm going to do, I've actually got another screen over here that's actually got all the questions on it, so you guys see me glancing over there, that's all that is. And hopefully I can give you guys a little bit of entertainment today. Who knows? So, first question I actually got was, is the Earth flat? Is the Earth flat? Well, the answer to that is quite simply a flat no. Do aliens exist? Well, frankly, do aliens exist, really? Yeah, that's a question I got. To be completely honest, I think the odds are out of this world. Of course there are aliens. What kind of dumb question is that? We're not the only things out here. Please stop rolling. No, seriously, stop rolling. Stop rolling. I need you to stop rolling. Please stop. Please stop rolling. There we go. Second question, as I was. Third question. Are we the aliens to Earth? Well, you know what? I think we've been here long enough. I think now we are natives, even if we were aliens. But you know what? I think Earth wanted us here if we are aliens, because otherwise they would have just built a wall to keep us out, right? Right? Will the space race continue? Yeah, so there's actually been some discussion about that in recent years in the scientific community. Is the space race going to continue, and in what way? And simply put, yes, but the US is going to play a smaller part in it. So for years, research and development by the, when it comes to space exploration, for the US has come from NASA. And then they've been contracting out the building of the rockets, launching of the rockets, all that good jazz. Because our current administration doesn't really seem to value NASA too terribly much, though, NASA's funding hasn't had an increase in a while. Even under our previous president, their funding was pretty lax. It never went up any. And generally, their budget has stagnated quite a bit, which is sad because we used to be one of the premier factions, I guess you could say. Actors, that's a better term. One of the better actors when it came to the space race, space exploration, research and development. There it is. And we're quickly going by the wayside because we haven't been investing the way we used to. Neil deGrasse Tyson actually did a great piece, I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson, did a great piece explaining a lot of the culture behind the space race and what has changed since space became less sexy, really. It's become a more and more mundane thing in recent years. And a part of that is because we haven't really had a big push. Remember, our big push back in the Cold War was we wanted to get there before the Russians. And the fact is after that, we kind of lost interest. And that's as much our fault as the layman as it is the fault of the politician. So if you want the space race to continue, make sure you're writing your congressman and telling them, hey, I want NASA to have a bigger budget. Screw you guys, I want NASA to have a bigger budget. I have no issue whatsoever with cutting back the military budget by a few billion so that NASA can receive a massive increase to their spending. Remember, NASA's budget in, I believe it was 2015, was 1/10, I believe, of every cent of the federal budget. For every 10 cents that we invested into our government, that we paid in taxes to our government, 1 penny per every 10 went to NASA. And that's what they've been operating on. Which is kind of sad and really kind of a travesty. So what was the next question? Yes. What is the purpose of the Masonic Lodge? To make you ask questions. So the Masonic Lodge, as I was, is a lodge in, well, okay, in very broad terms. It's a Freemasons thing, and it's very secretive what's going on in there. You have to be a high-ranking member to have access, and there's all kinds of wild conspiracies floating around. Honestly, it's a bunch of old men who have nothing better to do with their time. Yeah. Were giants a thing of myth or reality? So, here's the crazy thing. We know that gigantism... We know that really, really freaking tall people exist. Andre the Giant came in at 7'11", and the world's tallest man on record was Robert Pershing Wadlow, who in the 40s was measured at 8'11". So it's not a stretch to me to think that maybe, just maybe, time did its thing, and the story of the 8-foot man at some point became the story about the 12-foot man. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Wrong way. I didn't want to go that way. Nope. There! Can I drop this down? This, by the way, is my first ship that I've built in a long time. I haven't built anything in Space Engineers in a good long while, so I don't even know if this thing will fly. Physics in this game is actually a thing. So right now, if I turn this thing on, it's going to have a lot of thrust up here because I've got all of these engines pointing downward, lifting that end up. And if I try to turn the nose down, that'll be easy because I've got thrusters pointing downward over here. And then, of course, these are fairly close to the middle. There's going to end up being a lot more weight in the back, though, because I've got some cargo containers back here. I'll go more into detail on that later. Right now, I'm just trying to get it beefed up a little bit so it can actually do a little bit of mining without just breaking. Let's see here. What else? Are UFOs the product of extraterrestrials or government agencies? Or maybe both? Well, here's the honest to God truth. And the truth is, if I told you... So, next question. What is your opinion of AI and the future of it? Alright, so check it out. Stephen Hawking actually spoke about AI quite a bit in his late years. Most of it was dire. A whole lot of, look, AI is outpacing what we predicted it would be at. It's getting to the point where AI is able to make human actions. We have AI that can write poetry, that can write speeches, that can make art, and it's terrible. All of it is awful and horrible, and I very much recommend it because it's amazing when it fails. But those were things that were long considered to be the realm of humans only because you have to be intelligent and you have to be human and sentient and stuff in order to be able to create. And what we're finding is that no, not necessarily. And that plays a big part in the fact that the human brain is not so different. Or I should say, that has a lot to do with the fact that the human brain and a computer hard drive are not so dissimilar. The only difference is that the human brain is a single core processor and hard drive in one, as opposed to being two separate entities. I'm actually going to be doing some more research on neuroscience here in a little bit because of the aforementioned incredibly cheeky question. I have those thrusters facing backward. Oh yeah, those are my brakes. Doi. I need to offset those also. I didn't want to do that though. Where was I? So the human brain has something like, estimated to have something like 10 to the 30th power, I want to say. Again, I need to double check the math on that. Terabytes of space. Because our brains are incredibly efficient at storing data. Each of our neurons acts as a data point, and each data point is able to connect to all of the other data points at once. Whoops, I did not realize that was attached to the other engine. I thought it was attached to this guy back here. Clearly it wasn't. It's because I can't. I'll have to fix that. So your brain is actually the most efficient computer in the world. I did not want that to happen. And as a general rule, nature will always outpace technology until... You know, I had a train of thought and it suddenly left me. But basically, your brain is a computer and it's very advanced. And AI is really just the process, or really is just the logical outcome, the eventual, inevitable outcome of us trying to make computers that are smarter and smarter. Eventually, they're going to be like us. We just have to figure out how to program the very most basic actions, and then they'll be like us before too long. We have yet to figure out how to make an AI self-aware, to my knowledge, but if we have, that terrifies me, and we need to probably not do that ever again, because that is terrifying. So the real danger of AI that we're going to face is initially going to be in our economic sectors. In fact, as some of you know, I'm an economic protectionist. I'm not in favor of outsourcing. But even I have to admit that outsourcing jobs has not caused nearly as much damage to the American, or to any economy for that matter, has not caused nearly as much damage as roboticization, as replacing of skilled workers with robots. And the no, that's right, I want you going this way. Like that. Perfect. And we're seeing jobs disappear not because they're going to other places, but because they're going to robots that you don't have to pay. You don't have to give them insurance or benefits or days off. All you need is a small group of people to stand around and fix them when they inevitably break. And the result is you don't have to... You'd be foolish economically to not invest in robotics. Right now, it's just a lot more... it makes a lot more sense fiscally to do so, and that's awful. So we need to start looking at things like universal income, the idea that if you are a citizen, you simply make a certain amount of money. like just by being a citizen. Kuwait does this with their socialized resources, their oil. They socialize their oil. Every Kuwaiti citizen gets a check from the Kuwaiti government. And it's not much, but it helps, and that's part of why Kuwait is as rich as it is, or at least why, the majority of Kuwaiti citizens are as rich as they are. Now, obviously, if you go, and you look for Kuwaiti workers, they're dirt poor because a lot of the menial labor is performed either by people that they just want some extra money, or are prisoners, or people that can't become citizens. So, a lot of the time, you're a construction worker, you're a burger flipper, these are all people that are either just looking for extra money, or they're poor to begin with, or they're not able to become citizens. And here in the States, we've kind of considered the same idea, just not to the same extent yet that I know of. I know there were some senators that were talking about it, the logistics behind it, and what all would be involved in it. There should be enough vertical thrust, I think. The remaining issue, though, is how do you pay for it, because it's incredibly expensive. And fiscally, unless you're very much in the know, it makes no sense why you would do it, because you're going to increase the size of your government by how much? And just to make things even more so, you're going to increase its spending by how much? You're going to get this money from where? Which in the case of Kuwait, that money comes from oil revenues. In the case of the United States, we don't really have an export that anyone else needs that they can't get from someone else. And you can thank our actions, along with the British, way back when for that. So, that's AI. The long and short of it is, be afraid of your robot overlords as they replace you in every way, shape, and form. Anyway. AI, the Mandela effect. So, the Mandela effect is effectively it's the idea that you cannot trust your own memories. When you take it to its logical conclusion, that's what the Mandela effect is. It's the idea that over time, your memories change to suit what you want, or to suit somebody else. From what I've been able to gather, the Mandela effect is equal parts BS and actual credible psychology. Basically, what if I told you that a certain previous presidential candidate had this massive scandal involving the Belgian banks and the transfer of roughly $2.3 million. Well, whatever that was. Now, unless you're very much in the know, you're going to look at me and go, really? Who is that? And I'm going to give you a name, and you're going to go, what? I know for a fact she didn't have that scandal. But when you start seeing that everywhere, when you start seeing that story in 2, 3, 4, 500 places, and you're hearing about it constantly, this is going to have an effect on how you perceive things. Namely, you're going to start going, I do kind of remember that. And that's, I think, because we have a herd mentality of the more I hear it, the more likely it is to be true. I believe it was, and I could be wrong on this, someone please fact check me. I believe it was Stalin who said a lie told often enough becomes the truth, and that is certifiably the truth. For instance, you can look at scandals that have occurred in American politics. Good example would be Benghazi. So the initial story was that, well, Clinton, then Secretary of State Clinton, she screwed up, she denied security, and she ordered our troops to hang back. Is that true? See, you don't even know anymore because there were 3 different stories thrown around all at once. Even I don't know at this point, and I just looked this up yesterday. That's an example of the Mandela effect. I don't remember now. I literally cannot trust my memories right now because my memories are telling me no, she absolutely did not tell our troops to hang back. But I also remember reading that no, she did. And that's an example of the Mandela effect. So I don't know if it's more or less a product of our minds being screwed up, or if it's a matter of our minds are screwed up because we want them to be. I honestly don't know. I really hope this works. I really want that first. And I would love to see some papers done on it because I would imagine there's a neurological side to it where as your brain receives the information over and over again, neurons will start rewriting themselves in a manner similar to teaching someone behaviors. And that goes into nature versus nurture and all that good jazz, which is a whole nother thing that isn't quite applicable, but it fits for the purposes of describing how our brains might rewire themselves to fit what we now perceive to be truth. I really hope you were able to follow that because everything smells like copper now.